Shrita Yepi Shupapayona. Anyone can do it. It's so easy. Padama Karuna, Ananda Kanda. It's a very easy path. And by it you become the greatest yogi. I'm not really firing on all cylinders this morning in terms of my brain's not working very well. So perhaps we could have some discussion, because I've forgotten things to say right now. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I was just trying to understand what you said earlier about the pastimes being simultaneous. So would it be that... Have you ever seen CGI? So it's like they'll have a person with these little balls on, and then that goes into the film. So is Krishna like doing like an avatar kind of thing? So is he moving and then in the pastime is doing that? Or there's... Because you said like it's mirrored. And I was just trying to understand how that... Yeah. How that happens.
I know. Krishna is moving all over the universe, from one universe to another. His pastimes are eternally going on in the material world. But at the same time, he's in the spiritual world. Goloka Nivasachi Kilatma Bhutto. He's always in Goloka Vrindavan enjoying his pastimes, and simultaneously he's wandering from one universe to another. In each day of Brahma, he appears in each universe and performs the same pastimes. Because he's unlimitedly potent, he can be in... He's everywhere at once. Ekopya soda chayitam jagadanda kotim yat shakti rasti jagadanda chaya yadantam andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam govindamadi pudasamtam. He's in every atom, but everything is within him simultaneously. So he's unlimitedly potent. So he's both places at once, or everywhere at once. There's no limit. His pastimes are happening here in Bhaktivedanta Manor, and in Jagannath Puri, and in Vrindavan, and ISKCON temples, and all over the universe. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai. Bhagavan Iti Sabjate.
Yeah, thank you. I can't even comprehend.
No, we cannot comprehend Krishna's potency. But just like the sun is in one universe, and that sunshine reaches all over the universe, except in the dark portion of the universe because of the Loka mountains. That's another story. But the sun is before your eyes.
Yeah.
It's millions of miles away, but it's so powerful. And it's so all-pervasive. The light of the sun is so all-pervasive. And that's just a material object.
Yeah.
And where does it get its potency from? Yasya Prabho Prabhavato Jagananda Koti. It's getting its potency from the Brahma Jyoti. And the Brahma Jyoti is just the effulgence of Krishna's toenails. So this is the meaning of all-powerful, all-pervasive. Wow. We cannot understand. Abhigya Swarat. So if God is all-pervasive and maintaining the whole universe, then how can he be playing his flute under a tree in Vrindavan? Natasya Karya Karanam Navijite. He has, everything is going on by his potency. Just like a wealthy man, they have this saying, follow the money. So if you want to find the criminal, you want to find who is the criminal, what is the motivation, you follow the money, or you follow who benefits from the crime. That's how they work. Yeah. So Krishna is the supreme benefactor and the supreme enjoyer of benefit. So if you follow everything, you get to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What was the point I was making? Yes, so all his energies are acting, and he has nothing to do. He's so great and so powerful that he's free to enjoy all his own energies in their purest form, spiritual world. Yeah. And at the same time, when you pray to Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan, then he's reciprocating with you. Him himself.
That's crazy.
That's a Vedic injunction. Om apavitra pavitrava sarvavastam katopiva yasmarit pundarikaksham abhyabhyantara. By remembering the lotus-eyed Krishna, one is completely purified. So this remembrance of Krishna means the remembrance of Swayam Bhagavan. Not Vishnu, not Narayan, not expansions, incarnations, but the original Ekopyaso, the original one. So this is who Krishna is. He's the origin of everything. It's mind-blowing, right?
Yeah.
Inconceivable. So one must accept Achincha, the inconceivable potency of God, and the devotee has faith in that. And therefore he feels secure and happy, because the most powerful, how much power does he have? Reciprocate with your devotion. Ye yatamam prapajante. As you surrender, Krishna reciprocates. Pajami aham. As you worship me, I worship you. This is Krishna's loving nature. His loving nature, his compassion upon his devotees is the most important of his qualities, his compassion. Hare Krishna. Antaranga Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. From the verse itself, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu purify me by taking away my deer skin. And
Oh yeah.
I have a question, how we as a practicing devotees can learn this art of letting go things when Krishna is pulling them away from us. On many occasions, how we can basically break the spell of attachment and just see when certain situations, and whichever degree it may be, from gross material objects or from subtle things, or Krishna just desires some type of a purification for us, how we can see that this is Krishna's mercy. He's taking this away from me. Because we can see here that in the position of Brahmananda Bharati, he straight away immediately see that, oh, this was Lord Chaitanya's mercy on me. And he felt the mercy, he felt the benedictions, he straight away feel the bliss of letting go. We are not always so fortunate to feel the benefit of something being taken away from us. So how we as devotees can train ourselves to see that Krishna takes for a good reason.
Oh, we'll just have to believe in the philosophy, you know. That's what the philosophy is, that Krishna tells Yudhisthira, or Yudhisthira, who says, is it Yudhisthira who says the verse? That, or Krishna, that when I really favor my devotee, I take everything away. So if we're stubborn and we don't want to detach, we want to remain attached, then we become like Dhritarashtra. So he was at the fag end of his life, and Prabhupada says, okay, if you want to be a materialist and remain attached your whole life, at least last 5 years, 10 years, go into the forest, go into the ashram. But you won't make the same advancement as someone who's practiced all his life. So there are different perfections in the spiritual world. There's different levels. Even if you go to the spiritual world, there are different degrees of how close you'll be to Krishna. So Dhritarashtra, he attained one type of salvation because he dedicated some last portion of his life when he was old and decrepit. At least he went and meditated on the Lord at that last moment. So if you don't even want to do that, you want to ignore Krishna and just keep your distance from Krishna for your whole life and not get close to him, then you have to take birth again, because unless you're attached to Krishna, you won't get liberated. Maya sakta manapata. So you'll stay in the material world because you have to be attached. Prasangam ajaram pasham atmano kavaye vidu. That by nature the consciousness is attached. Because you're a person, you can't be without attachment. So someone is attached to their friends, their family, their pets, their land, their wealth. And someone is a little attached to Krishna, or say 50% attached to Krishna, 50% attached to the material world. So, but Krishna says you have to be completely attached to me. That's what he tells Arjuna. You have to utterly surrender to me. Utterly, he uses that word in the 18th chapter. And if you don't, you'll be lost. So what to do? We can move forward and give up our attachments, but only if we have a nice attachment to Krishna. So, to answer your question in a short way, that if you increase your attachment to Krishna, which is the if you increase your attachment to Krishna, you increase your devotion to Krishna, mulas taro samula nisachanena, then he's the root. So only by Maya we are attached. So the whole process is to develop attachment to Krishna, affection for Krishna. When one has this affection for Krishna, one becomes liberated from the material world. I was just reading that in the Krishna book here. Everybody okay? I'll just read this. So this is the simplicity of bhakti. It's about attachment and love for Krishna. Not that we can forcibly, like the yogis, what are they doing? They're trying to become detached. But they fail sometimes. Whereas the devotees who are pure and perfectly attached to Krishna, they never fail. Haridas Thakur, he surpassed all obstacles because he was a pure devotee. But even Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, they're sometimes falling down. Because they sometimes take the pastime of not being pure devotees. Yeah. What's that? Yat pada pankaja bilasa palasa bhaktya kama sayam gratitam utkatayanti shanta tadvad na riktayo yatayo pirudha chocho chanam srotram adanam bhaja vasudevam shotoganam tam adanam vasudeva. So the hard-knotted desires in the heart, the yogis cannot overcome them by their effort, despite their greatest efforts. But the devotees, they can, by their adhanam, the worship of Krishna. This is the highest platform. When we're so in love with Krishna, we're so attached to Krishna, then all material attachments are gone. But if we physically or with our own effort try to do it, it's very, very difficult. Something. Yes, Prabhu.
You said, Prabhu, that we can get rid of attachments.
Say that again, sorry.
You just said, Prabhu, that we can get rid of attachments, of our attachments. So we can do it, or this is because we practice the bhakti yoga and that's Krishna's mercy taking away our attachments?
Yeah.
Or we can do it?
Ultimately, to become completely free, we need Krishna's mercy. And Krishna's mercy is there in the very beginning, and the middle, and the end. But Krishna testing us our whole life. So this test, Maya is testing, because her service is to always keep us in the material world. So we can never think we're so advanced that we don't need to practice devotional service. We see that this testing helps us advance, because we have to overcome our tests and surrender. We have no other choice. But if we don't surrender, then we don't get Krishna's mercy. So it's a whole lifetime of taking one step closer to Krishna and having test, overcoming the tests, remaining a devotee. Sometimes it's so difficult, you think, I want to give up. It's so difficult to be a devotee. It's impossible to be a devotee. I'm just going to give up. And the next day you get your bead bag and you start chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, because you can't stop. You cannot stop. It's artificial to stop. So that's why we need so much philosophy to convince us, and then practice. Then we're convinced, yes, this is Krishna's God, He's in my heart, He's the goal of life. Then we have to overcome so many tests. And Krishna is so kind, He'll help us when we surrender. So when it's going good, everyone wants to be a devotee when it's going good. This is great, Hare Krishna. But when you're being tested, it's impossible. I can't chant, I'll never be a devotee, it's too difficult. So then you have to surrender. But it's hard, yeah? It's not easy. So Krishna's mercy. Prabhupada says devotee is always praying for Krishna's mercy. Is that right? Yeah, so you need Krishna's mercy, but you need to practice. You need to practice. That's the answer, yeah. You need to practice. God helps those who help themselves. So you can't just wait for mercy, you've got to get it. You've got to get it. But without the mercy, ultimately, it's Krishna's mercy, how you go back to Godhead. You get prema. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you for your interesting class. And the beginning bit, you were trying to figure out that mantra.
Yeah.
I found it on the Vani quotes. Ekam eva dvitiyam brahma.
Thank you.
This is the Vedic version, Chandogya Upanishad 621. There is oneness because everything emanates from the Supreme Brahman.
Brilliant. So everything is one. Achincha Beda, Beda Tattva. Everything is Krishna. But within Krishna there's unlimited varieties. Bahusham. Eko Bahusham. Krishna is Atmarama, right? He's self-satisfied. So why does He need us? Why did He create living entities? What's the answer? Panchatattva, what's the answer? Yes, that's the right answer. But more technically speaking, to increase His pleasure. He's already enjoying. He's Atmarama, He's fully self-satisfied, He's full of bliss. But to increase His pleasure, He creates Bahusham, many. And He wants to associate with many in millions of different ways. So He has millions of different expansions, incarnations, and He's enjoying. Unlimited enjoying. First verse of the second verse of the CC says that Krishna is enjoying through His incarnations, through the devotees, through the spiritual master. He's enjoying unlimitedly. He's enjoying our surrender, our difficulty, our struggles. He's enjoying our surrender. The little bit of bhakti He can squeeze out of our stone-like hearts. Krishna likes it. So this living entity is just suffering because Om Purnamada Purnamidam, He's complete, the universe is complete, and the illusion is complete. 100% you're in illusion. You think you're important, your bank balance, your family, your land, your wealth, but it's all illusion. 100% illusion. So Prabhupada said this life is like a hard block of dry wood, but somehow or other you have to carve out Krishna from this life in your heart. This is our business. Nimai? Jesse.
Okay. I had a question.
Oh, you next then. Thank you for helping me with the questions, because
Thank you.
I don't know what I'm talking about today.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. You mentioned the point of happiness in Krishna consciousness and then distress. These moods, they go up and down.
Yeah.
Do we also apply the principle of not being disturbed by happiness and distress in terms of this Krishna, in terms of spiritual practice, or how do we see that?
So when you are practicing very strongly, then distress and happiness are less of a botheration. up and downs. But when you're practicing weekly, then the distress becomes a really big thing, and it can disturb your mind for weeks. And but then you just go to one kirtan and it's all gone in 1 second. So you have to just hold on tight and tolerate the difficult periods and wait for Krishna's mercy. But when you become more fixed up, then you'll see that distress is short-lived and mental and not the permanent feature of the consciousness. But this is quite difficult conceptually to understand, because we all suffer distress. But the distress of devotee is not the same as a non-devotee, because the devotee has a great hope. Prabhupada said in one purport that even the transcendentalist sometimes feels the distress of this material world. But then he immediately remembers Krishna. And he remembers Krishna's smiling face. So he says the smiling face of Krishna is the greatest manifestation of Krishna's mercy on the devotee. So this intense remembrance of Krishna is what we're looking for. That's what we want. Bhaktiya Utpade, this brings out the heart, the love in the heart. Yasyam vai sruyamanaya. But it's only going to work if you're hearing about Krishna regularly. If you don't hear about Krishna, then what will you remember? You won't think of Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It's been a while since I last connected with CC. I just wanted to know what was happening in this chapter.
Oh yes.
And what the details were. I hear it's a conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Brahmanda
Bharati.
And
yes, sorry about that.
acting as a mediator, but what is the purpose of the conversation and where they're going with this?
It's a similar pastime to Sanatana Goswami's blanket that he had, a nice blanket, but this is a little different. This is a kind of an important point in Krishna consciousness, is that Brahmanda Bharati had this deer skin, and it's yogis and sannyasis, they use a deer skin for meditation, because apparently when you sit on the deer skin, it's either insects or tigers. Insects won't bother you, so you're free to meditate without getting mosquito bites and all this. It's like you read in the Vedas, you go to the forest, so we go to the Ganges and sit and chant, we get bitten by millions of mosquitoes, trying to enjoy the sunset, and it's like, how do they do this, So anyway, that's another point. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disapproved of the deer skin. He thought it was he saw that Brahmanda Bharati had it as false prestige, that I'm a great yogi, have this deer skin. And it's not our line. Gaudiya Vaishnavism, they don't use these paraphernalia. So he understood that, and he proved to him that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew his heart as the all-pervasive person. This reminds me of a pastime when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All the devotees came for 21 hours. They had kirtan and talks. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was reminding each and individual devotee how he came into their lives and arranged things. It's quite amazing. For example, one devotee needed to cross the river and there was no boat, there was some emergency, and suddenly a boatman appeared in the middle of the night. And Lord Chaitanya said, I was that boatman. So Krishna is always helping us, but we don't know. Prayojan Prabhu.
Thank you. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's chapter 6, text 30, and I often quite quote this for different classes, different situations. And it says here, in chapter 6, text 30. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I'm never lost to him, nor is he ever lost to me. It's such a beautiful verse. You can gaze upon it, not realize it, but it's a reassuring verse for me.
Yeah, it's funny, I was going to quote that verse when I was preparing for class. Your mam pashati sarvatra. So that's great that you reminded me. Like, you have all these ideas what you're going to say, but, you know, they don't always come out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for... one more question there. Panchatattva Prabhu.
Thanks, Prabhu. You're speaking about these challenges, etc. we face.
Challenges, yeah.
And of course, philosophy is important for being sort of convinced. But it feels it takes more than just being convinced to actually overcome something. You need like enthusiasm. And does that come just from the philosophy, or where does that actually come from?
So, in the beginning, the devotional service itself is the cause of enthusiasm. I like chanting, I like kirtan, I like doing service, serving the deity, taking prasadam. You know, it's nice. But later on, the enthusiasm comes from Krishna, that you like Krishna and that you want to please him. So, at various levels of enthusiasm or sources of enthusiasm may change. In the beginning, it's just like, can I make it to the next Sunday feast, you know? I won't leave. A lot of devotees were like that in the beginning days when the Sunday feast was super opulent. They would think, I want to leave, I can't handle this, but I'll wait till after the Sunday feast. And then another week would go, and they'd end up staying and becoming devotees. There's lots of stories. So I was like that. I left after 2 weeks when I joined. I came back the next day. I left in the afternoon. I came back the next morning because I went back to the material one. It was horrible. And I was like, it was so nice and clean. I was thinking of this Pujari area and it was all so clean and nice. I thought, I can't stay in this place. I'm going to go. And I went back to the temple. It was and that was just the shiny cleanliness which attracted me. You know, that was my stimulus for enthusiasm to go back. That where I was staying was dirty and horrible and useless, and this was clean and nice and shiny. So that's a very, you know. So then your reason to stay and reason to be enthusiastic, you have to search that out. And like you say, philosophy is not really what's going to keep us here. Intellectual conviction is not really it's going to keep us, but it's a heartfelt attachment to Krishna is what's really going to keep us in the long run. Because in the end of the day, all there is Krishna. You know, the Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, the residents of Vrindavan, they're not using philosophy to stay there or apply themselves. They're just in love with Krishna. So Krishna is impossible to leave. He's impossible. He's too amazing. He's too wonderful. So ultimately we have to stay with Krishna. And he should be our source of inspiration and enthusiasm. I've got Krishna, I have nothing. I am useless. But I like you. So I'm going to stay. But you can use anything to keep alive. Somehow or other stay alive in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Okay, Jai. Oh, David, come on. What? Finish it at 9? Yeah, we can have kirtan for 15 minutes.
Thank you, Boo. My question is about, you mentioned Krishna enjoying in the material world. So I was wondering about in his super soul aspect, how does Krishna enjoy as a super soul?
I know Krishna doesn't enjoy matter. He enjoys reciprocating with his devotees. So, as a super soul, how does Krishna enjoy the material world? That's what you're asking. Yeah. Yeah. Krishna enjoys reciprocating with his devotees. He's neutral. He's like a bird sitting on a tree, providing the fruits of one's action, right? Anumanta, he's a permitter, the witness, and giver of karma, but he doesn't directly enjoy the material world. He suffers seeing that you're suffering. He doesn't like it, but he's trying to inspire you to do the right thing. I don't know that the Paramatma enjoys the material world as such, you know. Anybody have any comments on that? He's always in the spiritual existence. I mean, Krishna doesn't enjoy matter. But when you take that matter and offer it to him with devotion, then he enjoys. Like we built this temple, it's made of matter, but we're using it for Krishna. So this is the yoga, connection of matter to spirit. Where the deity is, this is called Yoga Pit, where spirit meets matter and they connect. This is the Yoga Pit, where the spiritual world meets the material world. Yoga Pit. So the conversion yajna of matter into sacrifice, this is what is pleasing to Krishna. In the spiritual world, there is no need to do yajna or sacrifice. But in the material world, Krishna enjoys the yajna, the sacrifice. And what is the best sacrifice in the Kali Yuga? Kale dosa nidhe rajan astyeko mahadgunad kirtanat. Kirtanat. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhu? So,
can I tell you a very small story?
Yes, Prabhu, please.
So this word charma, maybe Sachimata can confirm, but in Hindi and Brajabhasha, it's also translated as leather. So in Bengali, charma is leather as well?
It's not charma, it's chamunda.
Right. So this word, in Bhakti Ratnakar, there's a whole description on how the Radharaman deity is also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it seems like Mahaprabhu has a problem with deer skin or with charma. So I want to give you a recent story that happened. And you mentioned about the yachts and the billionaires, so I remember the story. So a few months ago, one very rich man came for darshan, and in Vrindavan, at the Radharaman temple. So he came for darshan, and the pujaris decided to ornament the deity with some new outfits. So he had come, and he was waiting for darshan. You know how things happen. So the pujaris were decorating the deity with the new outfit, and each time they were putting on the dhoti, it would snap. So then they quickly ran to bring the next day's outfit. They bought the outfit, again, they tried to tie the dhoti on and the chadar, and the threads snapped. There was a whole panic going on. There's this VIP, rich man waiting for darshan, and the deity is naked, so they can't have darshan. So the pujari, he had a inspiration. He came outside, and he looked in the crowd, and he noticed that this VIP was wearing a leather belt.
Wow.
So he said to him, clearly he doesn't want to see the leather belt. So if you want darshan, take off the belt. Now unfortunately the trouser was much more larger than the size of his waist. So poor guy had to hold his trousers together. They put the outfit on the deity, it fit, curtains open, and the deity saw him holding his waist and trousers together. So it looks like the word Shodhan, in the same way that Mahaprabhu purified in this verse, similarly he also purified this individual because he doesn't seem to like deer skin or items made of animal skin in the same way that this happened. So it shows that no matter how rich or important you are, you will be chastised by the Lord if you're doing things that He doesn't like, in the same way that He didn't like the charma skin, the deer skin. A small story.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
When are we going to